I'm going to go ahead and start the presentation on education, our education on nutrition. And if you have questions, you can type them in the chat box, or you can also try to navigate down to the bottom pane and find the reactions and raise your hand and let me know that you want to say something. I will be stopping periodically to ask for questions throughout the presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and start. I will be sharing my screen. There we go. So I'm Michelle McGuire. I'm a case manager with the Family Caregiver Support Program at St. Barnabas. And this is our monthly education forum. This month we're doing nutrition and kind of a alternative diet choices is a place I'm going to start today. And the reason this came up, we're doing this, is because one of our members, one of you, during our support group, during our last support group, started talking about the need for information on nutrition for not only the caregiver, for not only the care recipient, for themselves as well. And what they were talking about specifically was different types of additives or flavoring, things you can add to your food to make them more appealing. So from that, well, we were inspired to look at alternative diet choices. And what I mean by this is different combinations of food that you wouldn't normally think of to avoid having to use lots of flavoring sauces, you know, things with a lot of additives in them. So my inspiration for this information I'm going to present to you comes from my own diet, which is basically an autoimmune protocol diet. I had some health issues, so I got very strict with my diet. So a lot of this comes from my knowledge with that base. I don't know everything, but I know a lot about combining foods. So the first thing I learned was instead of sweeteners or like ketchup or barbecue sauce, things like that, you can combine food with fruit. And one thing I love to mix it with is meat. Instead of a sauce or a gravy, you can combine your meat with different fruits. And just some ideas: citrus and herb pot roast, ham and melon, meatloaf. You put a layer of fruit across the top as your meatloaf cap before you put it in the oven. Raspberries with pork. Now, if you go to a nice restaurant, you might find these, you know, sauces, a raspberry reduction, you know, with wine sauce and whatnot. But you can just heat up some raspberries, make your own, or just throw them in raw with your pork. You can do whatever you like, and you're just having fresh fruit and meat. That's a very clean, healthy meal. Same with pairing with vegetables. Raisins and Brussels sprouts is one of my favorites, with some almonds thrown in. Mango and avocado, spinach and strawberries. So you can do fruit and vegetables a lot for salad dressing. Put on some olive oil, and you don't need, instead of salad dressing, you can throw on some fruit, a little olive oil, and you've eliminated all that, those preservatives and processed foods in the salad dressing. Now, how do you deal with the fruit? Well, you can broil fruit, sear it, or grill it. You can do this on your stovetop or under your broiler. You don't have to be out on a barbecue grill. Yeah, you can pair it with cheese, with your meat, or even solo as a dessert, because when you grill or bake some of these fruits like peaches or nectarines, they become so condensed with sweetness that it's just like a dessert. So, and how to do it? I would use skewers, I would use skewers like you make shish kebabs, or slices. You can have them. And again, you can brush them with any kind of little bit of sweetness if you want, or even a little oil, just so they don't burn. So you might be wondering, okay, what about my diabetic family member, or I'm a diabetic? And you do need to know, it is important to monitor your sugar and your carbs, right? You want fruits that are low in sugar and low in carbs. Cherries, peaches, strawberries, grapes, right? And you want to avoid the high sugar and the high carbs fruits. Mangoes, raisins, dates, pears, things are very concentrated. And that's just a guideline. You really need to be sure that you're following your doctor's recommendations for your diet if you have diabetes. Same with high blood pressure. From what I understand, you want to look for fruits and you want to use fruits that are high in potassium. such as oranges, bananas, avocados, apricots, pomegranates, or kiwis. And during chemotherapy, you want to avoid raw fruits. They're hard to maybe chew, hard to digest. You want to avoid extremely sweet or strong smelling things. And you want to go with just small amounts, little bits at a time. And you're going to need to balance the fiber based on the person's needs, but that is an issue with fruit. So that is pretty much my fruit section, so to speak. Does anybody want to stop and talk about this? I'm going to let a couple people more in, a couple more people in the waiting room. They're joining. Great. If you want to, feel free to unmute yourself if you want to chime in. Otherwise, if you could just keep yourself on mute, that'd be great. Do you know how to unmute yourself? You can look for that little icon of the telephone and go up into the left upper hand corner. You'll see unmute. You push that button. I'm unmuting all of you right now.
Yeah, I just had a question, Juliet. So what are like the low sugar fruits? Like I thought cherries had a lot of sugar in it. Are cherries okay?
Well, you know, this I pretty much pulled offline.
Okay.
So, you know, if you want additional information, I'd say Google it and check, because from what I understand, are cherries on my list? No, they're not on here. So I would just have to Google it real fast and find out. Yeah, okay. For specific fruits that are not on here, I can't really say.
Right, and so basically you think strawberries are kind of low in sugar, is that it? What was on there again? Oranges and bananas are good. Okay.
I'm sorry for diabetics.
Potassium. Okay, that's okay. You know, that's good, the high potassium, and then the, yeah, what is that for people who want to?
Oh, here we go. I'm sorry, Juliet.
Low carbs is sugar. Okay, good. Peaches, strawberries.
Low sugar plus low carbs.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, and I wouldn't use this as like a, you know, it's not the gold standard. It's just a guideline.
Right, right. And so what is it? You're supposed to kind of just have a cup, right? Don't kind of overdo it.
Probably. Well, that, I really think the specifics, you know, I don't know. Yeah. I think it would depend on the weight.
Okay. Yeah.
Everything you're eating.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good question, so thank you. Okay, so I'm going to keep going with new combinations. So using eggs, this really blew my mind. I use a lot of eggs, fried eggs, for like almost like a gravy, that the yolk of the egg. I mix it with sweet potatoes or pasta and noodles. I'll put a fried egg over greens with butternut squash, or I'll drop an egg into a boiling soup, and it'll kind of boil itself, and then you have the egg with the soup, and I really like that. Chocolate, who knew? You could drizzle chocolate over an avocado, and that is really good. You mix chocolate with chili. You can put chocolate into marinara sauce. So this is just a way to add some sweetness, or, you know, hey, you know, slices of avocado with a little bit of chocolate for dessert, maybe. Or these are just some ways to kind of slide in some healthier, newer kind of combinations, keep things interesting. Okay. Now more into sauces and flavoring, mostly about butter. Myself, I don't use any butter. This was a difficult shift for me, but once I made it, I feel better without butter, and I don't miss it. For rice, pasta, or vegetables, I just use a little olive oil, and I'll mix it with herbs and garlic and onion and heat that up a little bit, and then toss my pasta or toss my vegetables with that. For toast, I'll just use a fruit spread or avocado, hummus, peanut butter, really anything I want. Potatoes, I don't eat potatoes, I eat sweet potatoes, but you can grill them or toss them, you know, with herbs. You can mash them with olive oil and add a little chicken stock. Will add flavor, and then you don't have to put as much, or you don't have to use butter at all. I make my own salad dressings. You can buy healthy dressings. You just want to make sure there's very little ingredients in them. There's lots of binders and oils and whatnot put into sauces and dressings. So again, I make my own. I just use oil, vinegar, and water, and I add whatever I want: herbs, fruit juice, wine, cheese, mustard. Some of my favorite products I've talked about in our support groups, something called cocoa aminos. I'm actually going to advance. This is cocoa aminos. This is what they look like. And it's actually the nectar that is pressed out of the coconut itself, a coconut flour. It's the nectar that is squeezed out. And it's full of amino acids, which are really good for us. So I use this as a sauce for everything in my soup, in my salad dressing, all kinds of things. So I also use maple syrup and date paste for sweeteners. And I'm a big fan of Mrs. Dash, and also just turmeric. I put turmeric in pretty much everything that I make. So again, there's those cocoa aminos. Any questions or comments at this point? Anybody else have any interesting combinations they use or things that they've discovered?
I try to cook with like a little, not as much oil, and that seems to be better. Are you cooking with not that much oil as well, Michelle?
Yeah, I really try to reduce my oil, and a friend of mine turned me on to a technique. When she stir fries her vegetables, she uses ice cubes.
Oh.
You
And
have
what
to
does that
play
do?
with
It
it.
makes it kind of crispy or something?
It kind of steams things real fast, and I would use it with a really soft vegetable, like something you wanted to wilt, like maybe spinach or Swiss chard or something like that. Maybe, yeah. It's just play around with it. It's I've had success with it. It's a quick cook. You have to get on and off real fast because the water burns away pretty fast.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah.
Michelle, this is Maria.
Hi.
You know, hi, thank you for this presentation. And I also wanted to share that I use Bragg's liquid aminos.
Yeah, same. Is that the same as the cocoa aminos?
I'm not really sure, but it says from soy protein.
Oh, okay. So it's from soy. Okay, that's the
Yes.
same kind of. So it would be the same process basically that the aminos are squeezed out. It's the nectar from probably the soy plant then.
Okay. So I just wanted to share that. That's a great alternative because it has a really nice flavor to it. And I add that to a lot of my vegetables or I use, I know you don't use a lot of oil, but I use sesame seed oil from Trader Joe's, organic toasted sesame oil.
Yeah, those things make a difference. That's great. Okay, well, I'm going to move on and talk about beverage alternatives. Sodas. I don't know about you, but I don't drink sodas. They're artificially sweetened drinks. Some alternatives are just sparkling water, kombucha, herbal iced teas, fruit or herb infused water, or coconut water. You know, there's a ton of products out there, and I really think that the key is reading the label. The key to choosing something healthy is really reading the label, because you can get a kombucha or a fruit infused water that is full of sugar, full of chemicals, full of stuff you can't pronounce. Or you can also find them that have maybe 2 or 3 ingredients that you trust, like fruit, tea, and water. You know, you can find those. Definitely want to avoid things that are processed, concentrated juices if you can. Energy drinks are usually full of caffeine and interesting other additives. Honestly, I don't really know because I don't use them or I don't drink them. And then chemicals, just like I said, those things you can't pronounce. They're often insidious and not too good for you. So I also want to mention for anybody that just came in, if you want to comment, you can try to navigate down to the bottom pane of the Zoom window and find the reactions button, and you can raise your hand, or you can just unmute yourself. Or I'm sorry, you can put something in the chat box for me. But here I talked about labels. I hope you all can see this, but this is a soda label. So the way they list labels, if you don't know this, is the ingredient that, like the ingredients with the larger amounts are listed first. Like carbonated water makes up most of this soda. Okay, the next largest ingredient is sugar. So this is water and sugar, basically. Citric acid, natural and artificial flavors, modified stewed food starch, all those, there's probably little bits of them, but They're still bad. It's not good. It's all kinds of artificial sodium benzoate, ester gum, calcium, disodium. I did not look these up, but I know that I wouldn't want them in my body. But just looking at this, carbonated water, sugar, and citric acid. Those three, if I read those as the three primary ingredients, I don't need that. It's sugar water with some chemicals in it. So anyway, milk. This is this is one of my favorites because there's so many good alternatives for milk. But it can be kind of confusing. Basically, all it is nuts ground up and mixed with water, or nuts and oats. And then you can add different flavors like honey, vanilla, maple syrup, date paste, and chocolate. And you can do this in a blender or a food processor. And I do it with varying amounts of luck. My favorite is oat milk or hemp milk, which, yes, I do have on here, hemp milk, because it has an extremely nutrition panel. Hemp milk has a ton of great nutrients in it. But if you buy these in the store, they're going to have the binders, you know, the guar gum and the potato starch and the things like that that hold them together. They're going to have preservatives, which are often chemicals. They're going to have additives for flavoring. You can make it at home in your blender, you know, just with some simple ingredients. And if you're buying clean nuts and clean vanilla and things like that, you're going to do a lot better. And by clean, I mean not necessarily organic, but maybe processed with less salt, maybe less oil, if we're talking about nuts. So back to labels. These are just two examples of labels. I was talking about common additives over here. Common additives, vanilla, honey, maple syrup, date paste. Well, some other common additives, if you buy it in the store, you see calcium carbonate, tapioca starch, sea salt, potassium citrate, carrageenan, sunflower. I looked all these up, and they're not really that bad for you. They're natural things, maybe for preservatives or whatnot. But, you know, it just, the more ingredients, the more it increases the chances for something you don't want in there. So I would choose the one on the right. It's just fresh almond milk, 95%, sunflower seeds, 5%. Those are the only ingredients. This one's okay, but I probably wouldn't even finish reading that before I put it back down on the shelf. And I would probably look for something like this. That's just me. But I guess my point here, which I'm sorry, I digress a bit. There's a lot of ingredients here. They're not necessarily all that bad, but for me, it's always better to go for the simple ingredients, because it's hard to educate yourself about what all these things are. I guess that's my point. Any questions? Anybody have anything to say?
Yeah, this is Juliet. Thank you so much, Michelle. I love it. Yeah, I Googled how to make almond milk, and it's so easy. I just get the raw almonds from Trader Joe's and soak them. You can soak them overnight, but I just soak them even like 5 or 10 minutes and rinse the water out. And I have a Vitamix, or a high-speed blender, and I add just a little bit of salt, and then you use like a sift or something to, you know, pour it out in, and it's just amazing. I mean, it's so much better than the store-bought, and it's so easy to make. I mean, how do you make your oat and hemp milk?
Pretty much the same way. I soak my oats.
And do you use steel-cut oats, or just what kind of oats are you using?
I just used regular, I don't use steel-cut oats. I use the processed oats.
Okay, like the quick oat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I do.
And do you soak it?
I do. I soak those overnight. Any of the other nuts I don't soak. Okay. I make little batches at a time, so I adjust the water as I go.
Right, okay.
Yeah, they're very easy to make. I think what's difficult is finding a result that works for you.
Right, and what do you use for the hemp?
The hemp, I just buy hemp seeds, and I put in vanilla and cinnamon and maple syrup.
And why are those so nutritious? Do you know?
The hemp seeds, they just have a real robust nutrition panel. I don't know what it is about the hemp seeds, but they've got a lot of really great stuff in them. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, thanks for asking.
Okay, great. Okay.
Okay. So I thought we might talk a little bit about organic food, just in general. Is it better? Should we be buying organic? Should we be buying everything organic? Well, I don't know. Let's look at the definition. Food grown and processed without synthetic fertilizer, synthetic pesticides, antibiotics, or hormones. Why would we want to go to organic? Well, there are pesticides and chemicals in our food, but the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, and the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, have determined that the levels of pesticides and chemicals in our food is safe. There's some controversy about this. So some people feel maybe it's not so safe and maybe we should have cleaner food. And that has kind of where the movement for organic food has come from. Also environmentally, you know, a lot of our practices are hurting the environment with pesticides or maybe the way we raise livestock. So again, those are reasons to go organic. These harmful pesticides and chemicals can cause endocrine and reproductive problems, birth defects, behavior changes, asthma and cancer. Or another issue is foodborne illnesses, E. coli or salmonella from meat that has foodborne illnesses in it. So typically harmful pesticides or foodborne illnesses, those are two things that we're trying to avoid. That's why we go organic. So if we're talking about organic produce, typically the issues with produce that's not raised organic is it will have pesticide or chemical residue. And this can be sprayed on, it could be in the fertilizer, it could be in the soil before the plants are even, the seeds or the plants are even put into the soil. So the best thing that you can do as a consumer of produce, if you can't buy organic, try to buy thick-skinned produce with a skin that you would discard. For example, an avocado, a pineapple, melon or mango. Well, these are all fruits. But like, let's say a potato, if you discarded the skin. Trying to think of vegetables. An acorn squash, that has a very thick skin that you would discard. But really, yeah, so any kind of fruit or vegetable, any produce that has a thick skin is going to be safer than something that is thin-skinned. And with the produce, there's a great nonprofit called the Environmental Work Group, and they put together what they call a Dirty Dozen and a Clean 15, and they do this every year. And for 220, this is their Dirty Dozen, and these are foods that are most likely to have residue on them. And a lot of this is because they're thin-skinned or because of the way that they're raised or whatever, but this is their Dirty Dozen. These are foods you want to avoid buying conventionally. Like you would want to buy organic: strawberries, spinach, kale, nectarine, apples, grapes. Everything on this list, you want to try to buy organic when you can. The Clean 15, this is the opposite. These, if you don't necessarily, if you can't buy organic, you might want to buy these items because they are the Clean 15. They tend to be cleaner and not have as much pesticides and chemicals in them. So avocados, corn, pineapple, onions, papaya, sweet peas, eggplants. There's a lot on here. And you can find this information online. It's very widespread. You can go to the Environmental Work Group website, EDG, or you can just Google Clean 15, Dirty Dozen, and I'm sure this will come up. And there's a lot more than 15, and there's a lot more than a dozen. They're just giving you an idea of the top, the most important ones. Now, organic meat. The issue with organic meat, the problem that you're trying to avoid by buying organic is foodborne illnesses. And foodborne illnesses come from the overuse of antibiotics. And antibiotics are used in meat, not necessarily to keep the disease down, but to spur growth. in the animals. So the overuse of antibiotics can end up causing foodborne illnesses to be sent through the food chain. So with organic, the livestock is not fed or not given hormones or any kind of chemicals to spur their growth. Right? It's another issue, chemical residue. And this, especially with milk, growth stimulating hormones and antibiotics, kind of what I was just talking about, same thing. So the best practices with meat, if you can, buy organic or at least antibiotic free. Try to minimize ground and processed meats and use a food thermometer. I believe that 160 is kind of a safe ballpark for all meat if you can get it up to 160 internally. Okay. Milk, real milk, cow's milk, or not nut milk. The issue here would be growth hormones and antibiotics. They actually have found that the growth hormones and antibiotics given to livestock, especially cows, does come through into the milk. So another issue, how are the animals treated? A lot of people have issues with the way that we treat animals. They feel it's a moral issue or an environmental issue. Do animals have healthy living conditions and access to the outdoors? Oh, you know what this is? This is pasture feeding for at least 30% of the meals, organic food, and vaccinations. That's what's required for meat to be called organic. Right? They need to have healthy living conditions, access to the outdoors, pasture feeding for 30% of their meals, organic food, and they need to be vaccinated. That qualifies milk to be organic if the cows are treated under those conditions. So there are benefits of organic milk because it's pasteurized, I think, at a higher temperature. It has a longer shelf life. It can last up to 2 months. It's higher in omega-3 fatty acids. And with cows and chickens, they have found that happier animals produce better, more nutritious food. With chickens, it's, yeah, I have it coming up next. With eggs, again, the growth hormones and the antibiotics come through. But when a chicken is under stress, dark, tight, confining headquarters, the nutrition of the eggs decreases. And same with the milk that comes from the cows. So milk and eggs, if you can, you want to buy organic or cage-free or pasture-free as best you can. Here, we have Egg Carton Labels 101. This may help you with the milk too, trying to figure out what is what, because you can get eggs that are cage-free, organic, pasture-raised. You get different combinations of these different categories. I'm going to tell you what each of these categories are. Regular grade A or B, these are very poorly treated chickens. They are crammed together in little cages in a dark room. They never leave or see anything. They just live their life in a cage laying eggs. And these are the least nutritious, and they're recommended for cooking. Cage-free, the animal has access to the outside, but you know, there may be a door there, but there's like still 800 chickens in the room, and chance that little chicken is going to get to that door is probably pretty slim. So cage-free is not really a, it doesn't mean that they're out there in the pasture. Free range is better. That means that they have to have a certain % of time outside each day, guaranteed. Certified organic. Certified organic, I have to look at my notes, but I believe that that has to do with the feed. So if you're going to buy eggs, you want to try to get something that is, if you can, in this section. Free range, certified organic, and free range certified organic. I forgot to tell you about this. Organic vegetarian fed? No, you don't need that. Omega-3 enriched? No, you don't need that either on eggs. That's just marketing. Chickens are not vegetarians. They don't need to eat vegetarian. So that's just, like I say, kind of marketing. Omega-3 enriched? You don't really need that. You can just buy certified organic free range eggs and you're going to get enough omega-3s. It's just kind of marketing. So if you can, go for free range organic and pasture raised, if possible. The cage free and the regular, if you can avoid them, it's best. So I hope that makes sense. Any questions or comments? Okay, same thing I was just talking about. Price is a good indicator of quality. I'm going to go back to my previous slide. If you get something up here, pasture raised, organic, these are going to be like $7 or $8, $6, $7 or $8 a dozen eggs. Some people feel it's worth it. You get more nutrition from the eggs, they taste better. So that might be a good trade-off. But now I try to go with the $4 range in here is what I usually buy myself. So again, price is a good indicator of quality. Pasture raised, organic plus free range, or organic plus cage free. Brown and white, it doesn't make a difference. And baking, you can use the less quality eggs. So that is actually the end of my slide deck. And yeah, that's all I got. I'm hoping that you guys have some questions or ideas or things you can offer. Anything you'd like to talk about or questions for next time?
Michelle, I have a quick comment. I put it in the chat box.
Mm.
Just about the Dirty Dozen. It's actually listed in order. Like strawberries are always #1 on the Dirty Dozen.
Okay.
It's listed in the order of the most pesticides on average on one piece of fruit. So strawberries, I think on average, they have over 20 different pesticides on one strawberry. And what this organization does is they take produce from all over the United States. They triple and quadruple wash them. So they wash them more than any person would ever wash a fruit or a vegetable. And then they test them and they find the average from all of this produce they've gathered from different places. And the average number of pesticides on one piece of fruit, for example, is how they list the Dirty Dozen. So what I've always suggested is if you can't buy organic and you look at any of these that are listed on the Dirty Dozen, if you're not able to buy organic, then don't buy any of these unless you can buy organic. Because the number of pesticides on these food items, it's just not worth it. You can get enough nutrients from the Clean 15 if you can't buy organic, for example. You can get the nutrients that you need from those things if you can't buy organic of the items that are listed on the Dirty Dozen. So,
thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Any other comments, guys? That was great information. Does anybody else have anything they can add on to anything I said, or?
On the oils, I've started cooking with grapeseed oil.
Oh.
Too, because I've heard it was healthier than, and you can use it on high heats as opposed to the olive oil. Mm-hmm. So grapeseed oil, if anybody else has tried it, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I've heard.
Does it taste any different?
What was that, Michelle?
Does it taste any different, the grapeseed oil?
I've noticed that it does give it a little different taste to the food, but it's good. You wouldn't. I don't think you would notice the big difference.
Okay, I'm gonna try it. I've never used that before.
Has anybody used avocado oil? That's supposed to be popular as well. It's Maria.
I have used it, but I didn't really care for it. I like olive oil better. It seems just a little cleaner to me.
I think think that avocado oil can be cooked at a higher temperature. I think that's the benefit of avocado over olive oil if you are going to be cooking at higher temperatures. The other option that I use, like for pasta, instead of marinara sauce, I'll pour olive oil over the pasta instead of using like a marinara, just for reduced calories too. Like if anybody is thinking about the total calorie intake, that's another thing you can think about with some of these things. And as far as the fruit and for diabetics, there is a recommendation, and I need to look this up. I don't remember the specifics, but I think it's somewhere around no more than 12 or 15 grams of sugar per meal for diabetics. So that's not a lot of sugar at all. Like I don't even think you would be able to do like a cup of berries. You might be able to do maybe a quarter of a cup, maybe a third or a half in some instances. But yeah, with diabetics, you do have to be careful with the sugar intake.
Okay, that's great stuff. Anybody else?
Also, if I can comment on the water too, I tend not to drink a lot of water because I need something with taste. So I found that if I add some slices of cucumber and mint leaves, and especially with summer, it's a very refreshing drink, you know, and it's something that I tend to drink more water if I do that. Add just a little bit of flavor.
I'm wondering if anyone would like to talk about any challenges or issues they've found getting proper nutrition during the pandemic, because I think that's affected a lot.
Well, hi, it's Julie. I just want to know, like yesterday, you know, just because it's quick, we went to like In-N-Out. I mean, how bad is that? I think it's pretty bad, fast food. But every now and then, I guess it's good. But do you have any comments on like what are some really quick, easy meals? You know?
Well, for me, what I do is I always have a big salad in my fridge, and then I just cook some clean meat and combine it with my salad and eat that. And if I need some extra, I'll throw some fruit in there, because my diet's pretty much just meat, vegetables, and nuts and fruit. So I'm lucky I just can combine those things. Anybody else?
Hi, my name is Anna. Hi, Olga. There.
Hi.
I'm kind of weird in my family because I'm the one that eat a lot of vegetables, a lot of greens, and I try to be healthy myself. But I have a point that they say I'm on the border diabetics. You know, I'm not there, but I could be in the border. Mm-hmm. And I know that lately, like last night, I got a little something sweet, you know. And I drink milk, and then when I got home, I got some cottage cheese and papaya. And then I said, oh, I think because I'm watching TV, I'm going to eat a little cereal. And I notice if I eat late, I get sick. At night, I sleep, but I don't rest, you know. And I think the sugar bothers me, but I say it's no problem for me yet, you know. But I'm watching, you know, and I walk every day an hour. And in the morning, I have cucumber, celery, and something green, and then milk and flax oil and almonds, and I make a blender, green, everything, you know. And I eat a lot of green things. I really eat meat. I eat meat, but not that much, you know. But a lot of vegetables.
That's good. It sounds like you're doing what you need to do to try to prevent moving forward with the diabetes. You know, watching your diet a little bit. You're trying to watch your diet and exercising.
Yeah. Because they say I like pineapple, but only one little piece, because they say pineapples and mangoes, there's too much sugar. Mangoes, they're too much. They're not good, you know. But I try to, if I have something, I got only half. You know, I try to cut the size of the food, you know, everything else. And I eat a lot of beans and lentil soup and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, that's
I don't
great.
eat that much oil, you know, that a little bit oil, but salt, I don't eat too much salt. I have no problem with the salt, but I notice if I have salt, my body is very, they say because I'm too clean, my body is very sensitive, you know.
Yeah, you
But
can
I
really
drink
feel it.
Lactic milk. Lactic milk is okay?
The Latin milk?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've been drinking this because it's a diet milk, you know.
Diet milk.
I don't drink. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
familiar with it. Do you know the
They call
brand
it
name?
lacting. They call it lacting milk.
Lactate.
Lactine?
Yeah.
Can you spell it?
LAFTA. I see lacting. Lacting milk. That's the kind of milk, but we drink the one is only 2%. I tried to get it, the 1%, but it's like water.
Oh, the
It's
milk. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a LACTAID.
Yeah,
That's the milk.
Oh, lactate.
free. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lactate. Got
It's
it.
called
Yeah.
lactate. I get that. I like that.
I tried to drink the purple one, but it's like a water.
Oh,
Because I have high triglycerides, you know.
Yeah.
I have to watch those, you know. But I'm doing okay. I start away from a lot of sweet bread. I divorced the bakery, you know, and I try not to eat. I have more tortillas, the small one, you know, the one for taquitos, that one little
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Everything try to make it small.
That's good. Kind of just modifying things a little bit across the board instead of making huge changes.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
But I eat a lot of solids.
Mm.
Michelle, Maria asked if coconut water can upset stomach. I'm not sure about that.
Well, yeah, I haven't heard that it has a propensity to do that, but I could see that it might. I mean, I think that just testing a little bit out the first time you do it, maybe dilute it with some regular water, just to try it out first, because I think that's a good question. I think it might be on an individual basis. I have not heard anything about that. All right, so I guess if there are no other questions, does anybody have any suggestions for things they might like to hear about in the future?
For the future?
Mm-hmm.
First, I want to be alive, you know, and have a job and a place to live, you know. I'm not upset, you know, just scared, you know.
That's a little bigger than I was thinking, Maria. I was actually thinking of suggestions for future topics for this meeting.
Oh.
But I'm glad you shared that with us. Thank you.
Yeah, we want to do these educational training presentations every Wednesday now. So if anybody has anything that you'd like to talk about, next Wednesday it'll be something different. We might, if there's a big interest in nutrition in general, we might have a nutrition one at least once a month, and we can cover different topics. We can talk about specific chronic conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure, cancer, things like that. So, but as far as other things that you want to talk about or learn about, we can talk about, right before the pandemic happened, we started a fall prevention exercise class, and we are actually doing that at St. Barnabas. So we can talk about exercise, fall prevention. We can talk about transfer techniques. We can talk about dementia, Alzheimer's. I mean, whatever you want to know more information about, and we can kind of have a little bit of a discussion about whatever topic.
Oh, I have a subject. I would like to know about is this disease that is, I run a race for that disease, you know, but nobody talks about. And I met a couple of people, they have that disease and they don't know how to get it. They call it Scleroderma.
Oh, Scleroderma.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with Scleroderma.
You know, I met this guy in the bakery like a couple of years ago, and his girlfriend from Colombia has she said when she arrived to the United States, she was healthy, and then she got very sick. And then because I ran for the organization for the Scleroderma because my aunt has the disease almost 10 years, I recommend him to go to the place over there over close to the airport, and he went there and they helped him a lot. They sent the lady to UCLA and they tried to help her because she was not able to walk and her arm was stick together to her. She was bending and I couldn't stand her arms and her fingers. And then they helped her a lot, but then she decided to go back to Colombia. And in Colombia, because nobody have that disease, they're helping her a lot. But I tried to help my aunt, but she doesn't want any help. She just want to be sitting there, you know. It's very sad. She's still young, you know, and the other lady, she was about 40 when she got it. But I met a lot of children, you know, babies, and when I raised for raising money over there in La Mirada, there was a lot of young, it's no age for the disease, you know. They don't know how to start it, you know. And I would like to hear more about that.
About the disease Scleroderma?
Yeah, Scleroderma.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe on one of these days you have a time for have that subject, you know.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's great. Thank you. We want to hear what your guys' concerns and questions are. We want to know it all. So if nobody else has anything, thank you. Thank you all for participating. Thank you for your patience. Hope to see you. Actually, tomorrow we're having a support group on Zoom at 10 a.m. That's just a general support group. And I'll be facilitating that. And then next Tuesday, Olga will be facilitating a support group on Zoom on Tuesday at 1. It's also available to you. So thanks again. Yes?
Yes, you know, yesterday I tried to be in the program. You know, they told me it was canceled. Then Olga told me they're going to have half an hour. But then I got on and then this guy told me, oh, we're not ready yet. We're waiting for Pedro. And then he got me like a half an hour waiting for Pedro and nobody talked to me.
You got into a room?
No, yeah, I got to the conference yesterday and somebody said they haven't started because they're waiting for somebody by the name Pedro to go in the group. But we waited like half an hour, you know, and nothing happened.
Okay, well, you know what? I think I'm going to call you and talk to you about this after the meeting to see what happened. Because I'm just going to go ahead and end this meeting now, and maybe we can follow up with you to see what's going on.
Yeah, and then Michelle, it's Juliet. Can you also give me a call after, maybe when you're done with that? I have a quick question.
Sure. Yeah, sure, no problem.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank
you all, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow on Zoom or Tuesday or next Wednesday.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks.
Have a great week, everyone.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.